Can you feel me? Like,
Pause.
can you feel what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. Like you feel me, brother,
Got a little bass in your voice.
A little bass in my voice. Feeling confident today. It's a Saturday morning.
Yeah. You sound like when 50 Cent got shot, and then he made that movie about getting shot. And then there was that one scene where you're like, yeah, that's a good sound. Sounds like a little.
Hola, ¿cómo están? Mi nombre es Luis y yo estoy aquí con mi co-host Felix. Y aquí estamos listos para hacer el podcast El Switch. How's that?
Muy bien.
Welcome to the Switch. My name is Lprad. I am the co-host for this podcast, and I'm joined by the beautiful CEO of Break Connect, Felix. And we have no guest
Beautiful.
today. No
We
guest
don't have
today.
a guest today, but I actually think we kind of do have a guest today.
Oh,
You are our guest
oh,
today.
I'm the guest today.
Yeah, yeah. Because one of the main things that we're going to be talking about is the Breakthrough series that you've been a big part of.
Love that series. Love that series.
Yeah,
And hey,
I've been
actually,
watching.
technically, it ties in to our second episode ever that we did with ATN
Yep.
because he kind of not spoiled it, but he like very subtly previewed that he had like these big plans, and those
He
were part
hinted.
of the big plans.
Yeah. Now I didn't know what he was talking about, but obviously I'm sure you did. But
Well, no, at the time I didn't either. I was not part
oh,
of
okay.
anything until like a month before they started filming.
Mm,
So when we recorded, I was like, what are these big plans? Like, what's going on? Now I know what's going on. Now I'm in the
yeah.
loop, you know what I mean?
Tight, 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 tight. Yeah, I kind of want to get into it, man, because I've been watching the series. I'm all caught up. I
Okay.
think three episodes are live, right? The
Three
fourth one's
episodes,
coming
yes,
out
have
on
aired.
Monday.
Hmm.
Kid Break versus
Demise, that's
Mine.
next.
Yeah. I love that there's like these kids, mo for the most part, they're from all over the country, but
Yeah.
it's pretty much Vegas and Arizona.
Yeah, well, you know what's funny? Like, even if they were to have picked like the eight best kids, a lot of them would probably be in Vegas. Like Babalu and Lineage would have still been in that group.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not like downplaying. I think it just so happens that the best kids, the
Ours,
majority of them are from there, are from Vegas,
exactly.
and a couple of them are from Arizona. Obviously, Kid Break from New York. And yeah, like for that age group, it's hard to kind of see who could be who else. I mean, to be fair, there's a couple of other kids in New York that I think are pretty nasty, and
I
there's
agree.
like there's definitely like kids up and coming in like the DMV area that are coming up.
Mm-hmm.
But it's great to kind of see um the youth, the youths
The youth.
essentially uh taking breaking to the next level. And we're seeing it with this series. I love the way that the series is set up. There's like a certain kind of storytelling involved. You have the commentators, you do a really good job. And I'm not trying to throw shade on anyone else, but I think you pretty much do the best job as far as commentating and sounding natural goes. So
Thank you.
kudos to you, man. That was, and I'm not, I know it sounds like I'm being biased, but I'm not.
No, I feel like the biggest challenge when watching something like that as a community that doesn't usually have like commentators is that you don't have a comparison point really, because what I've noticed is that a lot of breakers don't watch sports from the most part. So I kind of picked up this example from sports, right? Where people can sit there in front of a camera and be like, "Welcome to Sunday Night Football," blah 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 blah. And I was like, okay, I can emulate that, and I feel like I have an understanding of what that sounds like, but a lot of people don't. So I went into it thinking like, what if I'm going to sound weird? Because nobody really knows like what to compare it to. This they felt like this is a role that hasn't been done in like breaking necessarily, at least not very well, you know? Like I again, not to sh throw shade anywhere, but I've seen productions before where I think they've attempted to have people in these types of roles, and it just didn't hit the way that I would have wanted it to hit. So I went into it thinking, well, if I really take this super seriously and like aim to reach a specific quality level, I think we can make this feel really legit. And ATN was like, well, yeah, like that's why we brought you in, like we think you're the man for the job. I was like, fuck, like that's like a lot of pressure. But the night before we filmed, I was up in my hotel room from like midnight to 2 a.m. just like practicing. It was nuts, dude. It was a good time though. I really liked it. And
Awesome.
my voice doesn't sound like that typically at like a jam when I'm on the mic. I kind of gave it a little bit more of a sharpness to it.
Yeah, and I think, and I want to get into kind of like the process of like, getting a little behind the scenes, how you got chosen, how you showed up, how the process was created. I want to get into that, but I also want to kind of speak on what you're saying, how we don't really have commentators in breaking. And I remember the first time I heard commentating in breaking, probably it was, I want to say, Red Bull BC1,
Hmm.
and I remember thinking either the dancers that were doing the commentating or the people that understood the culture sounded weird, like it didn't sound natural, or the people that were used to doing commentating sounded natural but didn't know what they were talking about and had to get like corrected all the time. And it
Yeah.
just felt a little too much like when a teacher's like, I'm cool, I'm hip, you know what I'm saying? So there was never anything that kind of did both.
Yeah.
And I remember when the Olympics were starting and we were like, breaking is going to be Olympics and all those trials were happening. And they had the first big event in Paris
Hmm.
with the one that Vic won. And there was commentating on that.
Yes.
And I caught a couple of different rounds where they had professional commentators, like real professional commentators, not again, I
Yeah.
think Sway is great at his job as being a radio host, but when he's doing the commentating on breaking, it doesn't sound natural. But when you have
Agree.
natural commentators, like this is their job. Their job is to sit, watch, and talk about things. It sounded good. Now, granted, a lot of these guys again didn't really know what they were talking about, but the way it sounded felt good and I wanted to hear more of it, you know? It's kind of like the way I watch UFC
Yeah.
or MMA. Like I want to hear the commentators. I want to hear what they have to say. And a lot of times they're either like fighters or people that are passionate about MMA and are also professional commentators. I
Yeah.
think like the gold standard is this guy named John Anik. He
Mm-hmm.
he does a fantastic job. He knows what he's talking about when it comes to combat sports. Or another person, Max Kellerman, is a great
Love
example.
Max
He
Kellerman. Yes.
dude, the guy, he's not a boxer, he
Nope.
doesn't, but he knows a lot about boxing.
Right. He loves what he's talking about. I think that's what's
Yeah.
important. You have to love what you're talking about for people to really catch that and be like, oh, wow, like I know what he's talking about because he's got years of experience in this. And even if I don't know, like he's explaining it in such a way where it's clear to me. So Max Kellerman's a good example, actually, now that I think about it. Honestly, what I think really carries is when you don't try to like insult the audience with what you're saying. You know what I mean? You still want to present whatever it is you're talking about in a very authentic way. And you have to keep in mind that you're talking to people that probably know this like the back of their hand, and also people that are not, that are brand new to it. That was always the goal, right? Especially because ATN and Guillaume are pretty confident about the concept of creating fans and having like a fan base or a following that doesn't have to be breakers, and they've been
Yes.
about this ever since they did the EBL. And I think that kind of stemmed a little bit into how we approached the commentary portion. Because if I'm in there talking about flares, baby freezes, transitions, text, and all that, you're going to lose people really quickly. But if we start
Mhm.
building story and then start sprinkling in elements of like, okay, our expertise, I think that's where it works best. And it's always cool to say stuff like, uh, I don't know. I remember I said a really good one in an episode that hasn't aired yet, but I said something like, um, dude, I can't remember, but it's a battle with Ricky Jr. So whatever his semifinals battle is, I said a really good one-liner that I hope is in there. But it's like again, it was one of those like I think I said it in the last episode. Like this is a classic David versus Goliath match. Like da 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 da. And it's like, okay, if I were to say that on the mic at a jam, that might not be the place to do it. People would be like, what the
No,
hell?
but this was a great, like, yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, you had, it felt natural without being preachy, and you weren't teaching.
Yeah. That was the goal. That was the goal all the way through.
Yeah,
Um, and one last thing I'll say about like commentary and breaking, I think right now we're in a place where if we are to move forward, we do need to have like proper commentators and people that can communicate the art form and the sport aspect of it all to the masses. Because if you sit down and watch Red Bull BC1 World Finals with your mom or someone that doesn't really know about breaking, like based on the production that they provide, you wouldn't be like, oh yeah, I can get my whole family to watch this like the Super Bowl where you don't have to know too much about sports to enjoy the whole broadcast. And maybe that's what we need to get out of breaking through is like that feeling of, hey, anybody can watch this and anybody can have a good time. And by the way, I've made it a really strong point of emphasis every time an episode drops to like push it to people. And a lot of people that don't break have watched it. And obviously they're watching it for me, but at the same time they're like, "Hey, this is actually like really good." Like I tuned in because I saw that you have a role in it, but at the same time like I want to keep watching because it seems like I'm learning a little bit about breaking, learning about these kids, and it's quick, it's digestible. It's 15 minutes. I don't have to commit like an hour to an episode. I was like, "All right. We might have
yeah.
some steam here."
Honestly, that's actually one of my qualms is I wish it was longer
Really? Okay.
because, well, because okay, so this is again, like I think it's a fantastic. Like, listen, before I get into my critiques, I
Yeah.
want to get into the positives. Um, Production value is awesome. Every
Ooh.
intro is super good. You know, you have like I love here. Like hold on, I don't want to butcher it, but I might butcher it. Where you go, the
Eight of the
entertainment
world's best
capital of the
breakers.
world.
Yeah.
Yeah, the eight of the world's best breakers and the entertainment capital of the world, and soon to be the breaking capital of the world, Las
Las
Vegas,
Vegas,
Nevada.
Nevada.
Da, 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 da. You like there's like this like voiceover that happens, and like all these like really cool like B-roll shots, and then the kids breaking. And it's really smart the way you introduce each episode is you have like the kids that are in that episode kind of being part of that B-roll, which then leads into you have a little preview of them like kind of telling their story, and then it gets into it. The reason that I want it to be longer because every episode you have the same piece of intro where you talk about the judging system and all that
Hmm.
stuff, and I'm like, yeah, I heard this two
The
times
first
already
episode. Yeah,
the
yeah.
first episode and the second episode and the third episode, and I know that I'm going to hear it every single other episode. And if the episodes were a little bit longer, that piece, and the thing is, like, I understand why it's in there,
Yeah,
right? If
yeah.
you're watching it for the first time and you missed a couple episodes beforehand, you need to know that information. But because the episode is 15 minutes long and the battle is potentially only 2 rounds, maybe three,
Yeah.
half of the episode is like this explanation portion.
Yep. Yeah, you're not wrong. I caught that too. But again, I understand why it's in there. I think in hindsight, well, I have to say, like, I'm gonna be very careful about what I say because I know some things I can't say, but the cutting room floor idea is very real, even when it comes to
Yeah.
productions in this like scope where we're like not necessarily in a studio or we don't have like a bunch of directors or producers and stuff. Like there was a lot filmed that didn't make the cut that I think could have
Mm.
been st remained in it and not made it feel bloated. Like we did proper analysis. We did a whole
That would have been
prediction.
cool.
Dude, yeah, we did a whole prediction segment where I gave my personal prediction, ATN gave his personal prediction, and they add like snippets of it. Like I catch it in every episode where I'm like, I didn't say that sentence next to that sentence, but I know they cut it from this portion and they put it in front of this portion. So it's like, ah, shoot, man, like the cutting room floor is so real. A lot of it ended up there, and that's okay. That's okay. Like the show's not about my commentary or ATN's opinions. It's about the kids.
It
So
is about
I
the
think,
kids, yeah.
yeah, at the end of the day, we want to see the kids. We want to see more of the kids. And then when I think about it, you know, some of these kids that are still in the bracket will still be featured in future episodes. So I'm guessing they kept a lot of their like interview stuff or their story stuff to sprinkle throughout their run in the bracket. You know what I mean? So I'm sure hopefully the next episodes will still be full like these first four were. Um, but I haven't seen it. I haven't seen the whole season. So what comes out, everybody's watching it all the same. Like I didn't
Yeah.
get first view, you know what I mean?
I'm excited for the next episode just because, Kid Break, I watched that kid grow. Like this is even before I moved to San Diego. I saw Kid Break.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. I
As
saw when
like
he was
as
like
like
as like a little like a little child, like maybe 6 years old.
a young
A little
whippersnapper.
dude. Yeah, super young, like in 2011, man. He was a tiny person. So it was funny when I kind of like watched him then. Then I watched him in videos after I moved to San Diego. Obviously, like the only time next time I saw him was like in clips, and then
Mhm.
I see him out here, get to know him, get to know his family. So I'm like, better represent. And
Shout
I
out
know
to
I
Fred.
have a feeling he does. Yeah, shout out to Fred. Shout out Fred. Fred, his mom, Kid Break's mom.
Yeah,
Like it's cool how they've kind of gotten behind him on this journey for breaking. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he's now part of
Red
Red
Bull.
Bull
You're
BC1 All
right.
Stars
I don't
or
know if it's BC1 All-Stars, but he's like a Red Bull sponsored breaker.
yeah, that's
So
pretty dope too.
that is pretty dope. Yeah, still a kid. He could still use the term kid break. He's not young adult break yet. No. So I think that's pretty cool. I think out of all of the people that are featured in the show, he's one of the ones that I was curious to see like their story and stuff like that because I didn't know very much about him. I had a general idea of everyone else's story, especially because when you're like writing on what to talk about for each person, you kind of have to do a little bit of a deep dive. And with Kid Break, I think I say something like, uh, Kid Break was literally born to do this or something like that. Like his name is Kid Break or some shit like that. And because when I looked at it, I was like, dude, I don't know very much about him. Like you can't find a lot online. And I prior to that, I had not really spoken at length with Fred. So I didn't know very much. I'm curious to know what he says in his like little story portion because I don't know very much about him.
Yeah, no, me too.
He's a good kid
Um,
though.
he's
Break
yeah, he's a good kid.
and also his
Um,
breaking is crazy. I mean, all the kids in that group, they're pretty nuts. But his breaking in particular, I think has like a pretty solid, he's got a really high floor. And I think just in having a really high floor, you can assume he's going to have a really high ceiling too, especially because he's still super young.
yeah, like he's gonna get stronger. He's gonna have like hit a growth spurt. Like it's gonna usually when that happens, like you just kind of everything evolves. Everything gets a little easier. You do have to like manipulate your body differently because your body changes, like things get longer, so you have to kind of like start calculating, okay, like I can't do this anymore. I have to kind of like put more emphasis on moving my legs a certain way or putting my arms a certain way. But when you have so much muscle memory already built in just for doing it for so long, like bro, it's crazy. I think what he's like 16, 17 years old.
Yeah,
That's
16.
when I started breaking.
Damn.
You know
Damn.
what
He's
I'm
already
saying?
got like 10 years on where you were when you
I
first started.
Yeah, dog. That's what I'm
That's
saying.
that's
Like, and
that's
his and the fact that he still has like time to evolve. Um, Shit. Pardon my French.
no, you're
So
good. Dude,
We should
so
just start beeping random words. Um,
I was gonna say, funny thing is about like that whole experience. I think there were people that could have made that lineup like super, super solid that I think would have great stories. Um, like Flea Rock's son, I think would have been good for that lineup. Um, who else am I thinking of here? Uh,
that's actually brings me. So yeah, like finish your thought, and then I have a question after that.
Yeah, so th basically when I looked at that lineup, I would have been like, oh man, like because a lot of these competitors know each other and they battle each other on a very frequent basis, it almost felt like they didn't it didn't fully feel like they thought it was like a high stakes thing in the moment because oh, like I'm just battling my friend that I see every other weekend and that I get lunch with on Sundays, like it would be cool to have people from pe other areas that don't typically battle these Vegas kids to be in the group and to also get to know a little bit more about them. But I think logistically, it's also a bit of a challenge to coordinate 8 people from 8 different states, So I always knew that there was probably going to be a heavy Vegas representation.
Hmm. So I guess my question was gonna be like how you guys decided on who, and based on what you're saying, it sounds like logistics had a lot to do with it.
Yeah, so I didn't have any part in the decision portion. When I first got the call, the lineup was pretty set. I think 1 or 2 people were subbed out, if I remember correctly, from the original lineup. And again, it was for logistical reasons. But you know, I still think the people that we got in that lineup were pretty good. Still a solid representation of what high level youth breaking is today. It would have been
Oh
weird if
yeah.
there was like a mole in the bunch where you're like, oh, there's 7 really good kids. Who is this kid? Why is he here? But every one of them I think did a pretty good job.
Yeah, we didn't have any ray guns.
No, no ray guns in that group. That would have been pretty nuts.
No,
And even
that's
then,
the
oh wait, I can't say
no, no,
that.
go ahead. Oh no,
Well,
okay.
when this will air after it drops, but
Yeah.
do you want to be spoiled?
I have like the thing is like I know that I have a strong feeling that Kid Break is gonna win against Demise because I think
Okay.
he battles Babalu in the semis.
Yeah, that's a fair assessment, and that's actually true. That is what happens.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I
That
was
I
gonna
don't
say
want it. Like don't spoil that for me. That I want to watch
I'm
that
not I'm
battle.
not gonna spoil that one for you, but I am saying that the four left in the bracket after Monday's episode, which will air in 2 days, I think those four would have been the four regardless. Ricky Jr. is one of those that I think could be like he could be really high level one day, and then the next day like not so much, but. Everybody else, like Lineage, Babalu, Kid Break, even Ricky Jr., like those would have been the four, no matter who you had put in the bracket, unless they were to battle each other earlier. So I think we still get an accurate representation of who the top four would have been for this
Yeah,
show.
agreed.
Um, dude, so okay, I'll give a little bit of insight on like kind of how everything came to be because I got the call. I remember I got the call really early, like 7 weeks before or something like that. It was like early morning. I was in Fresno at Victoria's family's house, and we were on the phone for like 30 minutes. It's one of those ideas that like you're presented, and in real time, I was like, dude, I don't know. Like, I had a lot of questions because I feel like I have seen so many products that try to do this that don't hit, like they're just not thought out very well or conceptually like it sounds good but in execution it doesn't look as good as it sounds and I basically told ATN like I believe in you and I believe in the project and I saw what you did with EBL which was really high level and I said if we're gonna do this like I want to do this well like I want to make sure that this is something that feels the way you're making it sound. And he was like, "Yeah, I promise you, like we're gonna have like a filmmaker. We're gonna have a bunch of staff. We already have like the venue secured. We're gonna be doing like a week of filming prior to you getting here." So I was like, "Okay, like sounds like he's got a real good plan for it." And one thing that I've learned about ATN is like a lot of people in the community talk a big game, but sometimes in execution, you're like, "Oh, like that the way you were talking about it is not how it looks." But with him, I feel like he only talks a big game if he knows he's going to back it up the way he does. And I have had zero reason to believe that ATN is not that guy. Like he always comes up to me with like the most honest and realistic perception of what he's gonna do. But then at the same time, he's like, if I'm doing this, like I'm gonna do this all the way and I'm committed to it and we're gonna see it through no matter what. And when we were filming, I was like, dude, like this is a lot. There's a lot of cameramen here. There was like a director guy. And it was super cool because like the space is in Area 51 or Area 15, and it's like a really weird like mega venue where they have a bunch of rooms that are dedicated to something. So it's like a bar, it's like an escape room area. They've got like this museum thing. And there was this room ducked off to the side where when you turn the lights on, it just looks like a regular like recreational room that you could use for anything. But the way that the lighting worked and then the way the floor was set up, the way that they took everybody's phones, by the way. If you watch any episode, nobody has their phone. I mean, they
Mm,
didn't take them, but they were like, hey, everybody, like phones off. Like they had people watching for it. So nobody could film anything. Everyone was like devoted to the product. And it made for a good studio audience. And you just watch all this stuff and you're like, man, like they really care about this shit. And it makes you want to care about it so much more because you're like, okay, everyone's fully committed to this. I'm going to fully commit to this too. Um, which actually brings me to one point that when you were talking about gripes, I thought the judges would have had a little bit of an introduction or something at some point. That was definitely a gripe of mine. Just because as a viewer, you're kind of I know who the judges are because I was there. You might know who the judges are just by looking, but if you're just tuning into the show as a casual viewer, like you don't know who the judges are. You don't know why
yeah.
they're judging.
The only judge that I remember was Eddie Styles.
Hmm. He judged basics,
So
I think.
yeah, basic dude for judging basics. Oh,
Yeah,
snap.
burn, got him.
JK Eddie, JK, love you, buddy.
He's not gonna watch this.
Not gonna watch this. Probably won't watch this.
It was Eddie as basics. I forgot who was artistry, and then um, who was Risk was Doug, or I guess his name is Trunks from Breaking MIA,
Oh,
the short buff guy.
Doug, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, sure about that.
artistry was it could have been Rock from Full Force. I believe it was him.
That's a good one.
No, 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 he was execution. I think artistry was quality, and
With
then
it.
yeah, quality from Style Elements, and then knockout. Forgot who knockout was, to be honest with you. But yeah, like it would have been nice to get a little like 20-second thing on each of them where it's like, hey, I'm Eddie Styles, I represent da 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 da, da, and I'm judging basics. Da da da. Boom. Okay, cool. Um, and I mean, I don't know. I know that the plans for this show are bigger than anything that's been done for breaking. Um, I know that I think the goal is to eventually have this like reach a platform that's higher than YouTube. You know what I mean? Whether
Yeah,
that's a streaming service or like a network, I know that that's where their intentions are, and this was like a pilot for that. And I think for a pilot, this is a pretty strong showing of what we're capable of. And with a little bit more money, maybe a little bit more professional guidance, like the product can only get better.
yeah. How did you guys do with sponsors? Because I see kind of like whenever you guys are talking to each other, there's that like sponsored by bar to the
Yeah.
right of it.
Hey, they paid for portion of airtime, you know?
I
Um,
believe it.
that's honestly all the financial stuff and all that. That's like all ATN and Guillaume. They went all in, man. And they've had like really great conversations with, I think, really important entities that I hope, fueled their pockets a little bit for this. Because I know that everything, from my understanding, was like came out of pocket for them basically. Like whatever sponsorship funds, obviously, but I think they really invested into this product. So that's again like one of the real signs that show you how devoted they are to the success of whatever they do. Like they're coming out
Mhm.
of pocket for it. They're not working with like Red Bull money or whatever, you know what I mean? Like they're working with ATN and Guillaume money and maybe some sponsors. So those are the guys, and I really do hope that they succeed, and I hope that we are a trio in whatever the show brings moving forward. And I know that they're probably going to release some news for something happening later this year sometime soon. I don't know if it's show related or if it's like EBL related, but they've always got something cooking. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm a fan, bro. I'm a big fan of it. Yeah.
Dude, oh man. I guess since you don't have any sort of insight on what the finals look like, do you think you know who's going to win it all?
I have honestly, like the fact that we know who the top four are going to be, I have a inkling of the top three.
Top
I,
three?
listen, the thing is like when you have okay, I'll say this. I believe the winner is going to be the winner of Kid Break versus Babalu. That's who I think is going to win.
Okay,
Whichever one of those guys wins, that's who's going to win the whole thing.
that's
That's
a
my
strong
prediction.
prediction. Strong
Yeah.
prediction there.
Just
Uh,
because like nothing against Lineage. I think he's nasty. I think he's like really, really good. And you know, in my opinion, he's like the dark horse. Ricky
yeah.
Jr. is like the dark, dark, dark horse.
The dark horse is crazy.
But
He's
like I
not the
think okay,
stu he's the what do
yeah,
you call it? Like he's like Justin Gaethje going up against Ilya
Ilya
Topuria.
Taporia. Yeah. It's kind of like one of those things where we're waiting to see when Ilya Taporia is going to knock Justin
Yeah.
Gaethje out.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like I
but I
can't
mean,
wait
yeah.
to see him win.
I think it's just because the depth of his breaking is just not at the same level as the other three that were mentioned. But
Right, and that's what I'm saying.
yeah, like to be even in that mix, like he doesn't look like a stranger in that mix, but it's just like, like, if we had to cut one here, it would probably be him.
Yeah.
But yeah, shout out to Ricky Jr. He's a good kid, and he's actually pretty much like the best power mover out of all of them. A pure power mover, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he had a
That's
good story with
yeah.
his dad.
Yeah. And yeah, like I didn't even know about Ricky, like his dad, honestly, until they played that footage. And I'm like, oh shit. Yeah, he's got some shoes to fill.
Yeah, both of them doing air
Um,
flares was cool.
yeah, that was pretty nasty. Uh Again, like I just want to reiterate this point while we do get to sit here, man. I or like what are they gonna look like in 5 years, in four
Yeah.
years? That part is that's gonna be crazy,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. Dude, okay, so two things. One, when I watch the show, I look at it and I'm like, you know what this reminds me of? Like this reminds me of Up and Comer. Like when I was doing those productions. And
Yeah.
I did it in a one shot, and this is basically the what I wanted it to look like if I would have had the attention span of people to sit through like a whole hour-long production and the time to film more with each person. So and then also in Up and Comer, I didn't have an on-screen role. I very much directed and wanted to make sure everything looked good. So this was like really cool to have someone be the director, me be on screen, but also understand what the product is essentially trying to do. But it's just funny how life works because I had already done something similar to this. So doing this again with someone else's guidance, someone else's funding, right, where you can just kind of be a little bit more hands-on in terms of the on-screen products, but hands-off behind the scenes. Like I thought that was really cool, and I think they did it better. And obviously because I had more time, more money, more production, but it was cool to see. And eventually, I think my understanding is that they want to do a breaking through with adults, which leads me to this
That's gonna be
question.
hard.
If you had to pick 8 adults for the breaking through series, who would it be?
Adults,
Adults, yeah.
the country or the world?
Let's do the country because I think that'd be easiest,
Okay.
logistically speaking, and probably more
Yeah.
realistic.
All right. Is there an age range we're sticking to? Like under 40?
Probably, I wouldn't say under 40. I think you got to think of it like you got to build an ensemble that would be interesting story-wise, but also relevant competitively. So I would say 20 to 45 or whatever.
She's 45. Okay. I think that's kind of cool. Then I think I'll start with my two top is going to be Vic and Zeku.
Yeah, yeah, dude, Rick and Zeko, they got to be in there.
Then Jeffro,
Yes.
Gravity.
Yes.
Now this is like now it's starting to get hard. Okay, because we hit kind of like basically Florida, Arizona, like
Yeah.
currently where they're staying. I'm trying to kind of like I want to let my mind wander across the country, you know? Mm, trying to find someone from New York in my head right now because it'd be good to have a representative from NYC
I
in
could
that.
compete with those guys though. Shoot, man. From,
Pop,
I was gonna say Pop, but he's like the darkest horse in that race, like with everyone else that we've mentioned.
it's kind of like, oh, okay. Pop, Jihad.
I thought about Jihad too. Yeah. I
Jihad
would,
could be a
okay.
dark horse.
Yeah, yeah. We could put one of the two in there, but you know who I was thinking of that I think would be like really good for this? H. I think H would be good for storytelling. Um, Another one
Yeah.
that I think would be really good is hmm, I was gonna say Bowsy.
Bowsy's a good one.
I think Bowsy could be really good.
How many is that right now?
With okay, if we're just counting one of Jihad or Pop, we'd be at six.
Okay. Then I guess well that spot is interchangeable between them. So then that's two more. I want to say El Nino. I feel like he's been around for so long, but he's also not that old.
Yeah, he's not that old and he's still really good. Like he's
Yeah.
beating dudes on a regular. Um, but I feel, that when you think of it story-wise, like you need to have established faces and then you need to have someone that like would try to overtake the current regime.
Well, that's kind of why I'm looking at like Jihad, to
Fair.
kind of to do that overtaking piece. Bowsy is kind of in this place where he's an established face as well as he's equally established and equally a dark horse in a weird
Yeah,
way.
yeah, yeah, yeah. He's knocking on the door for sure. And I think
Yeah.
a show like this would maybe let him in if he did really good. Um,
Okay. Hot take.
Go for it.
Hot take. Kurt.
Kurt
Kurt.
Rage?
Yeah.
Yo, that'd be fire. That would be really fire. I would love to have Kurt on a show like this. Um,
Oh man, like I just realized we skipped over a whole like other plethora of people.
who
Luigi. We skipped all Scots like Squadron, bro.
we did. I don't know, like if we're talking about good TV, I don't know if a lot of those Squadron guys would be good TV, except
Luigi.
maybe Luigi. I feel like Rockstrite's always my pick for everything though. I'm trying
I
to think.
wanted to say Rockstrike, but I feel like I'd be playing favorites right now if I did that.
Right,
Because
yeah.
because also, he's definitely like, okay, we got to have like an old guy and a young guy. Rockstrike would have to be the older guy.
Yeah, he would. Um, aren't It would have to be him, and then the counterpart could be Like I think Marcus would probably make good TV, you know, like I think he's
Marcus
Yeah,
Mucus.
Mucus Marcus, yeah. He would make for good TV. I wanted to have him for Up and Comer actually, but things didn't work out negotiation wise. But I always knew that his personality would be good for like on-screen stuff.
Yeah,
I think this would be good because he's like his breaking is not at the level of everybody else, but he has one or two rounds where you're like, I see it. I understand why he's getting the
yeah.
hype that he's getting. So
No,
I would
he
have him in
definitely
there.
deserves it.
I would actually
He also
probably put him over Jihad or Pop.
Ooh.
Just because like on screen wise, I don't know how interesting they could be. Because if you're gonna watch a show with them, you would want them to be like to add a little sizzle, you know, like a little bit like ooh, like they're talking trash or whatever. Like obviously with
I
these
don't know,
kids, they
man.
do that.
Pop's a
He
funny
is.
guy.
He is, but he's kind of quiet too. He's not super. I feel like Marcus is just very brash. Like, you know, he's very like look up in your face. Whereas Pop will like stand back, but he'll like what he's saying is a little bit more like, hey, oh damn, he also got his sizzles. Um, but yeah, I think ultimately the goal is eventually to have a season with adults. I don't know what it would look like logistically, but it would be cool to have some of these names. And I know they're pretty cognizant of like Zeku and Victor being like
Yeah, of
names
course.
that bring, you know, eyes. So they would probably honestly be in it, if I were to guess. So
I mean, the top four: Zeku, Vic, Jeffro, and Gravity.
yeah, Jeffro would be really good. I want to learn more about Jeffro, even though he did a whole media press run, like for have him to to have him sit down and have his like story just kind of be explored a little bit would be really cool.
Maybe be a Switch episode.
It could be a Switch episode. He should be in a Switch episode, actually.
You could reach out.
We should reach out. But next up,
Jeffro, if you're
we've
watching
got,
this, hit us up.
yeah,
We're
Jeffro, if
looking
you're
you up.
watching this, reach out.
I'd be so surprised if he's like, "Hey man, saw the latest episode of the Switch.
Put
I'm
me
just hitting you
on.
up." I'd be
Well,
like, "Holy
okay.
shit, he actually watches this." Um,
Should we talk about a little bit about our next guest?
uh, oh man, how long have we been? I feel
We've
like these
been,
things go by so fast. Yeah,
I know, we've been riffing for a little bit now, but I think, I think we could preview it. He did confirm that he's down, and we did confirm a date. I have to talk about a time with you off this,
yeah. I'm
but
excited for this guy.
I'm excited for this guy. I know that Don Love is one of those people that right now is just very prominent in a lot of people's like social media space. But prior to him getting to this point where he was like posting every day and doing like these motivational things and historical things, like I really looked up to him. And then coincidentally enough, you also really admired him as a designer.
Yeah,
And we kind of like use his content as like inspiration because we see like he's got like a very devoted consistency. He's got the what do you call it? Like the style guide for himself, I guess, like locked down.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like a lot of what he does is very nice to look at, but also it's great that he's doing it at a very consistent level.
yeah.
Um,
He knows how to brand himself.
he knows how to brand himself. He knows, I don't know. I think just got a really good eye for like poster design and just design in general. And I don't know very much about him other than what we've been able to like exchange online. So it'd be really nice to have him here. And also he did the cards for us. Like that was a
Yeah,
project that
he
he
did the
took on
cartoon game
without us having
changer.
to convince him.
That was that was probably one of my uh like a highlight of me starting BreakConnect is to have him reach out and be like, "Hey, I want to do this with you guys." And I was like,
Dude. Yeah. Yeah. And I was extra excited to see like it's one thing to do a project and like have it exist, but to have other people that wouldn't maybe otherwise interact with Break Connect in that way opening cards and like different parts of the country and stuff and like tagging us in their stories and all that like oh I just pulled a Felix I just pulled an Lprad like man like
Mhm.
That
No one
was
said I just pulled a Felix.
yeah, they did. We did a whole contest about it.
Oh yeah, yeah, that one. Shout out to
Like,
Theo.
yeah,
Um,
shout out to Theo. But it's like, damn, like that felt really good. It felt like it pushed a little bit of the brand forward a little bit, to be the first official collab with Don Love's card making abilities. I don't know, that was nuts.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Honestly, for me, it was the shirts.
Shirts too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I kind of like when, like before he even like hit us up. I just like the clothing. I just like the little mark, like the logo. So I am excited to learn more about him as a person, as a designer. I want to hear his design journey as well as his breaking journey. I know Philly is a big part of his background, so
Yes. He's
that's
Philly
exciting.
passionate.
Yeah, Philly passionate. Never heard that said like that before, but cool.
So yeah, that'll be fun. And then in terms of events for the month, by the time this drops, I think these events would have passed. But we've got She Got the Moves, we got Fresh Breakdown, both of those happening this upcoming weekend. Uh, will you be at Fresh Breakdown?
Uh, hold on. No, bro, I can't leave. I'm barely
Yeah,
leaving
yeah,
New
yeah,
York.
that's true. I'll be at She Got the Moves though, and of course we'll do a little recap for y'all in the next episode. And then I will also record a cool video for everybody. But yeah, this one was the most casual Switch episode yet, but it was fun. Hopefully, people got
Ooh.
some insight on.
Take paid in full or take the cipher is today, apparently,
Yes, yes, it's happening like
right
now,
now.
I think. Yeah, yeah. Shout out to Des. Thank you for opening up a studio here in San Diego and bringing stuff to the
Yeah,
community.
I was super like I didn't realize she was doing all that. Like I know she worked with studios,
Hmm.
but now she opened up her own. I'm like, that's
Opened up
what's
her
up.
own. Yeah, I went to go see it before it opened, and the floor is nice. The floor is real nice. It's a bit like narrow. Kind of reminds me of that one in Pacific Beach. Remember what was it called?
Oh, FX or some shit like that.
It wasn't called FX. It was called
I know what you're talking about.
yeah, it felt a little bit like that. Like it's narrow going one long way, but it was cool. It's cool. I hope she does well, and I hope her event is popping off right now while we film this episode.
Yeah, tight.
Tight.
That was good.
That was a great one. Hopefully
Yeah.
everybody else felt the same. And of course, stay tuned for the next one. We're gonna have Don Love, the one and only. And Felix, sing us the outro song.
Oh.
Oh, we got to work on the outro song. Okay. All right, y'all. Thank you for tuning into The Switch. This is Lprad.
Hi.
That's Felix. Out.
Peace, peace. Hi, I'm Felix, founder of BRKN, and this is Socks. If you like what BRKN does for the community, consider joining the Patreon. If you're already a Patreon subscriber, thank you. You're supporting events on BRKN, you're supporting me, and most importantly of all, you're supporting Socks. Thank you.